Copies okay? My card. I have some color pictures too, if you'd like to see, the deck more. I mean, they're on that picture, but it's very hard to see.
I was there, so.
Oh, you went today?
No, I was there on the
Over
weekend. But yeah, we'll look at the pictures. You want to put it on the record? If that's, you want to put it on the record, you want to show them to us? Whatever you like. We did quite a few photos there.
Well, this is the
Just give us the deck photos.
the color one that's on there. I have a few copies of different ones if you want to.
Sure.
Pass them around. Okay. And then I brought some pictures of neighboring yards, but since you were there, you
Well, the other members would not have been, so.
Okay.
No,
you okay? Okay.
Okay, we're okay then.
All right.
And this is just for the coverage, correct? It's not for setback or anything of that sort?
Coverage.
Okay.
So I am new to this, so I really don't know what to plead the case or.
Just give us the facts, nothing but the facts.
Nothing but the facts, okay. So, we went to, she called me, we're kind of friends also, so she asked me to, come out and replace the deck, which was rotted.
Right.
I don't know if you saw that there, but I do have pictures of that too. It's unsafe. I told her to stay off the deck. It's completely, unusable at this point. We went through the process, we got the engineer to draw up drawings, submitted it to the building department, and Ed found that it exceeded there was an existing deck, I believe, when the house was built. It was about, I think it's like 10, maybe 12 square feet smaller than what's there. So he said, you have to resubmit. We went through all the process and we found that this is just, it's coverage. And what we also found that even if the deck was rebuilt, as originally built, it would still exceed the lot coverage of today's, requirements.
Right.
So even if we brought it back to that size, we'd still be here no matter what. So she'd like to build it in kind what's there now. And of course, we'd change the railings to more code. Everything would be, up to code. So on the first drawing, you'd see the actual elevations of the deck, and it'd be more of a picket style, and it would still conform with the, in code.
Okay.
Or would conform to code. What's there now.
That's a different department anyway, we don't.
Exactly. It's what's there now, though. This is just
Right.
up to code anyway. But
Okay.
the issue is coverage and the usability of the deck is just, you can't use it now because of the
And you're just going to replace it to the same size, correct?
same
Not
exact
increasing
size.
it?
What's there now, that's been there, like I said, about 30 years. That's about the longevity of the pressure treated wood, if it was pressure treated wood.
Right. And I understand is the deck going to be, I have some notes here about 12.5% over existing?
I believe that's correct, yes.
And what is defined as, what's the existing mean? What do you mean by existing?
What we found when we has a building card, on a card,
Right.
that she had a smaller deck was on, I guess when the house was built, there was a smaller deck
That have been approved?
that was approved with the building of the house. And then I guess it was built in, a lumber that didn't last, so maybe, I think, let me see, 66, about 10 years later, after she bought the house, a year after, I think, that she bought the house, she must have hired somebody to, or maybe her husband did it, I don't know, put this deck up.
Okay, so this would be, even though it's probably non-conforming with the change in the zoning code at present, what you're proposing is 12.5% over what was existing,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay. Does anyone else here want to hear any, or talk about this property at all? Anybody here? No. Anybody from the board have any comments? No. I'll make a motion to approve. Second. You done? Yes? Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Excuse
my night.
There'll be a letter going out in the next day or two, and then you see Mr. Maron, you'll get the letter also, permits, and you're all set.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for your time.
You want the pictures back, or you, I don't know if they really,
If you don't need them, I'll take them back.
you know, no, we were all out there.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Regis and Linda Bob, is everyone here? Yeah.
I think they're missing the bar. It's not.
Yeah, it's not gonna work.
It's not gonna work.
Well, we actually have the drawings, if it's something different, you could
for a second.
have your partner Ron hold it for you or something like that.
Will it be your helper?
Dana White?
What can work is if you've got two of these pens.
There's one back there too, there's a back there.
That's, well, I've had to do it here before.
He's been here before.
Yeah, a few times.
Need to use the mics tonight?
Yes, you do, because it's televised and the mics pick up the sound.
Let's put this one first.
You have the mailings, the green cards. Does that mean no?
I forgot.
Okay, can we trust you that you'll bring them to the clerk's office tomorrow?
Well,
Because if they're not there,
Yeah, no, I.
and just so, as I announced earlier, that because we're only 4 of us, the vote's gonna be 3-1. So if it's tied, it gets denied. So as long as we have 5 or 6 people, even 7 people on the board. So you're more than welcome to adjourn this to a, if you feel you're more comfortable with a wider margin, but it's your call.
Literal. Looks good.
Well, I guess we'll see how it goes, and maybe you can tell by the question.
I'm for
3 minutes before the vote is when you have to make a decision.
My name's Troy Wachikowski. I'm an engineer for the applicant.
I'm Steve Griggs, the agent for the applicant.
The project before the board tonight is a proposed in-ground pool and patio improvements for the Bach residence, 6 Palliser Road. The project is before the planning board as well for site plan approval. We've been with the planning board for 3 visits so far.
Tell us about those. What did you do every time, each time you went to those zoning board meetings?
Make the project smaller. Cheat sheet here. In fact, why don't we, I'll just show you, this is the property here. Here's Palliser Road. Here's the existing house. There's an existing patio right here. So the extent of the improvements, here's the in-ground pool, which is a natural shaped pool, and a pretty small adjacent patio behind here. What we're doing actually is redoing this rear patio. Actually, that's part of the process with the planning board. So we take this away.
So the existing flagstone will be reduced, you're saying?
Correct.
And the pool's been cut down in size, as I understand, from your first.
That's right. This is the process that we've been through. This was our first submission. This is the existing patio that we're redoing with a short retaining wall. Steps up, large patio adjacent to the pool. Steps up to upper level patio with a fire pit, that type of thing. The planning board said, you know, it really seems a little large for the property. So we came back, reduced basically the size of the patio. The pool stayed the same, and you see that in this outline here. The blue is the second round pool outline, and the red was the patio. Our final visit with the planning board, we reduced it even further, which you see here in the colors. So we actually, you can see the patio, the existing patio, we're making a bit smaller. This wall is actually in here. You can see
The patio is much smaller compared to the previous iterations, and then we actually reduced the size of the pool as well.
What zone is this in?
This is in the
F40?
R40, yes.
R40 zone.
Okay.
And this is an undersized lot. As you can see, the lot size is about 30,000 square feet. So kind of, I won't skip ahead too much here.
Well, I don't take that turn, just if you want to go back to your presentation you were at.
Okay, no, that's fine. I can bounce around a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, so the two variances we're here tonight for, the first one is actually locating a pool closer to the street line than the rear of the building. Just kind of an odd one. So as you can see, here's the street, here's the house, and basically it's, I guess, related to the fact that the house is at a skew to Pendleton Road.
So is it that the left wall of the home, is that considered the rear, sounds like that's the rear wall? If you,
Yeah, this is the rear wall.
well, I know that's from traffic point of view, but from the street angle, it looks like to the left side, right?
Over here.
That may be considered, that's why I think you might have that issue that you,
Yeah.
but again, from a natural, when I was at the house, so I can talk from seeing it there, that this is naturally behind the rear of the house, obviously.
Right, and I'm sure that parameter for the code is so people don't put a pool on the side of the road. And as you can see, it's obviously in the rear yard of the property.
And it backs onto rear yards of other homes, is that?
Yes, there's another street up here, cul-de-sac, and there's two rear properties that can look down in here, their rear yard.
Okay. So that's a non-conforming lot, as you said, because it's less than 40,000.
Correct.
In the area, right?
So we're saying that the front portion of the pool is nearer to the street than some portion of that wall?
Correct.
Over here.
Correct.
Got it, okay.
Keep going.
Okay, so I think, again, mitigation for that variance is basically, it can't be seen from the road. It's built into a hillside, the grade comes up, so there's no way anyone's going to have a view from the street from that side, and obviously from this side, there's no views as well. So it's in the backyard, and it can't be seen from the street.
What about screening along the yards?
Screening, there's quite a bit of natural screening, particularly up on this side.
Right.
But as you can see, we're proposing, and over here as well, we're proposing through the planning board process, heavy evergreen screening along the property line.
Okay.
Just connect to the planning, are you finished with the planning board now?
No, we got to a point where the planning board could make a positive recommendation to your board. And so we still have to return for a couple loose ends, really engineering issues.
They were concerned about, apparently, we have an email about on-site stormwater.
Right.
So what do you have planned for that?
And again, this comes into play with the coverage variance before you and the coverage parameter in the zoning is, in my mind, twofold. One is to protect the village from excessive runoff from stormwater. And secondly is aesthetics. I don't think the village wants properties developed with hardscapes, basketball courts, tennis courts, things like that.
Oversized decks, but yeah.
Yeah, things like that. They want to keep a natural kind of presence to, good portions of the lot. So what we have proposed as part of the planning board requirements is an infiltration system that's designed to pick up runoff from the patio. It's actually oversized because it's sized considering the pool as a hard surface. But as we know, in-ground pools aren't filled to the top. You have at least 6 to 8 inches. It's called freeboard in the engineering world, for it basically to capture a 6-inch rainstorm, without any overflow onto adjacent properties. So this system in itself is oversized, and the planning board, as part of our process with them, that's one of the last points we're going to do. We're going to meet the village engineer out on the site, and we're going to actually probably expand this system to pick up either a portion of the roof, a portion of this existing patio. We're basically going to oversize the storm system. So not only do we meet the village's requirements, but we exceed them and infiltrate more water into the ground than we actually need to help with this coverage variance.
And I know you, in your presentation, your written presentation at least, there is a discussion about how this ultimate proposed coverage, which I believe is 17%, if I recall, or is it 14% or 17%?
Proposed is
17%. How does that compare? I think you did a comparison to other homes in the immediate area with the coverage.
I did. Again, it was part of our argument.
Your presentation, you mean, not your argument.
Okay. What's
Part of your presentation.
You have to look at the, whether it's detrimental to the neighborhood, whether it fits into the neighborhood type thing. So that's where I did an analysis of the neighborhood, and here's kind of a flow-up. You can see the Palliser lot is highlighted in yellow, and we looked at all the adjacent surrounding lots, and using the county's website and the aerials, I was able to estimate the lot coverages for all those adjacent properties. So as you can see, the Palliser, we're proposing about 17%, and all the adjacent neighbors really are up in the 20s.
Now, was your comparison based on buildings? And I know the word buildings is defined in our code to include swimming pools and walls and things of the sort, but is that your analysis just based on buildings or more?
No, it includes what I could see from the aerial.
Walkways and things of the sort?
Adjacent walkways.
So it's apples for apples in essence?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was, I thought, an important consideration for your board, whether it's going to affect the character of the neighborhood.
And your position is that it won't?
Correct, basically. Fits
What
right.
was the 20, that's the average over?
Yes, lots 3, 4, 5, and 6
Right,
are over
right.
20%, and the next door neighbors 1
The
and
coverage
2.
is over 20%.
Right.
Yeah, I thought that's what you said.
And other than the rear wall issue, you're not not within the setbacks, right? You conform to that. You're
Correct.
20 foot. I think it's 20 foot for a pool,
20 foot.
right? So that's not an issue.
We moved it from, the board wanted us to get it closer to the house, we actually moved it like 40 feet closer to the house, we just shrunk the whole thing.
Right, that was part of their,
40%, yeah.
kind of the back and forth with the board. They felt that, if we were gonna have to go for a variance with your board, they felt that if we kept everything a little kind of snugger to the house, tighter to the house, it would be, less expansive and would still leave plenty of green area to the rear of the property.
As I understand it, some of they've owned the home since 1998, right? So there's been some changes in the zoning code.
Yeah.
And I think now the code, it is what it is, obviously, but includes walls and things of the sort, which have not been included.
Correct.
Some
Yeah,
time
there's a
ago.
lot of natural walls on the property.
Which have kind of, and it's up in a hill, it's very rocky up there. I mean, I'm familiar with the area, obviously. It's urban.
Where's the pool gonna go?
It's right here, screened in.
Kind of nestled into the hillside. So yeah, that was another part of my presentation tonight. Submitted, the Bobs have lived here since 1998 with the previous zoning code. I think it was 2008 or so that the code was changed, and the coverage values were changed from a square footage, 4,800 square feet, to a percentage, 12% for the 40 zone, which, you think about it, a 40,000 square foot lot, 12% is 4,800. But in the Bob's case, they kind of
There's lots of people.
took it on the chin because they have a non-conforming lot at about 30,000 square
And
feet.
actually, looking at that, I think I came up with, this would be 7.9%.
Yeah.
If the old zoning code was still in place, and that was
Correct.
prior to when that was after the Bobs bought the house, that the house was actually changed. And the neighbors, has there been any, I don't see anybody here, obviously, I don't think we have any letters in opposition to this.
The planning board, public hearing, no one's come out.
Sure about that?
Actually said we did a good job on reducing it. He felt bad.
Yeah, I know, we saw that. Anything else you want to add?
What is your estimate of the percentage increase you're making here, you're proposing here in coverage?
It's going from existing of 14% to 17%, it's an increase of 3%. That's what you're asking?
Well, that represents like a 21% increase. That's 3 percentage points.
Yeah, it's
But
it's higher than 21%.
It's a very, in terms of increase, you're going from what, 42.78, right? That is, to 51.82,
Correct.
which is over 20% increase.
And that would, although that will include the retaining walls and walkways and things. So I think it's a walkway in the front of the house, 262.
262 square feet, and the walkway, the
That's
walls are
slate.
like 300 square feet.
Right. I mean, I was at the home. I've seen, there was snow cover when I was there, but I had a feel for where it was going to be, and I know it's tight into the house, and I looked at the numbers, and I've looked at the neighborhood, and I'm familiar with the neighborhood, it's kind of tight in there to begin with. You know, the term building includes buildings, you know, includes pools here too, but, you know, pool has a different impact, I think, in my opinion, on coverage, on the appearance in coverage than a building would. If you're not building a 600 square foot building. Right?
Well, that's it. That was
With
part-
FAR would be another issue, but
Right.
just on the coverage, right?
That was our discussion with the board as well, is, you know, again, comparing, you can have coverage as a basketball court or a huge, you know, triple wide driveway, something like that, or it could be a shed or a building. This is a ground level improvement, which is actually.
Below grade or at grade, no more than at grade, right?
Right, we feel it's actually an improvement to the rear yard. You know, it's gonna be landscaped around the pool, it's all naturally shaped, it's all natural stone, you know, so it's really a nice improvement in our mind.
Merely one vote, but the 3 minutes are coming close. I don't know if anyone else.
Does the non-conforming lot have anything to do with this? I'm just
It does, we look at
kind of started
percentage
with
increase.
You know, it was zoned R40, now they're down by 10,000 square feet.
Sure, but it also cannot be a mechanical exercise. If it was purely numbers that we plugged in, they wouldn't need us, right? They just plug in the numbers. So we look at the character of the neighborhood, we look at the home, we look at what you're building. Again, is it a pool versus a structure? Is it this, is it that? Are neighbors complaining? Where's the neighbors, you know, have? So there's a number of factors, and that's why we do have some discussion. That's why we're here, I guess.
I guess I would point out that in the village itself, we have lots of non-conforming lots, I mean, and we take that into consideration when we.
Quite a bit.
When we vote.
Actually, most, down here, you know, the whole,
Oh, yeah.
down here is all. If you went strictly by the code, no one could do anything, and, you know, that's not why we're here.
Up to everyone.
So does anyone have any questions? Okay, this is the big moment. Are you feeling lucky, as they say? I'll make a motion to accept the application. Just noting that you have to do the screening as required by the planning board, obviously, and obviously you have to resolve the drainage issue.
Yeah, we worked with the engineer.
Right, okay, that's 1, 2, second, so vote from left.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Boom.
As they say, have a nice night.
Before you leave, Jim, have your card. Yeah, it's been a long day.
It always is.
And we'll send a letter out in the next day or two.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for going out there too, by the way, everyone out there, 'cause I know it's snowing. No. And I will drop those.
Please do, otherwise we'll just pull this thing in about 2 seconds.
Dog in the driveway too.
They're gone.
These are nice dogs, man.
Oh, sorry. It's in here somewhere. Griggs.
Certificate.
Give it to Sarah, I believe you know.
Yes.
Thanks very much.
Don't use it. No, we're gonna use these.
And the third application is Panos Papayanyu. No, that's what you say, Papayanyu, is that what we say?
You know how to say
Yeah,
it.
Exactly. You're testing us.
20 Lewis Road, and you have the cards.
We turned those into Sarah, is my understanding. In fact, we don't do the cards
No, I
anymore.
already did this.
Now we're supposed to be doing the certified and providing proof of submission to the post office. That's a new thing.
Okay, so you've done that.
Yeah, we've done what we were supposed to do.
We'll check tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll confirm that.
Okay. Sure.
Now, we'll see you next month.
So I know the 4 versus 5.
Yes.
But I would like to proceed because I think this makes pretty good sense. And we've also been before the planning board for a while now. We started with a larger pool, we had a terrace. We had other site improvements. The pool was located at a different placement. We've since worked those things through the planning board to the point that they felt they were comfortable enough with this for the zoning board. We do need to return to the planning board after the decision by the ZBA, so that they can give us the final. But I think we've knocked off everything that they had concerns about. There were no, we've resolved the storm drainage. I don't think there was anything else that they had a concern about. I think we've actually made changes, 2 changes on the drawings that they asked for. One was we've shown the landscaping that we're plugging in here. This is very heavily landscaped already, but with a gap where you can see it from the neighbor's property, Will Smith's. So we're putting a 12-foot runway spruce surrounded by rhododendron. This guy has the only property that I've seen in a long time that still has rhododendron. They're doing well. He has a deer fence that's actually working. It's a miracle. That's a miracle. So we've done that planting. They also wanted, we originally had the fence coming down the property and tied up to where there's an existing fence on the front. We've agreed that we won't do that, and we're bringing the fence in on the side of the house. So I think we've got everything that the planning board was concerned about resolved, but I know you guys are a different board with a very different set of rules and needs. Basically, what we're looking at here, similar to the previous application, is we're in the 1F40 zone.
So with the last application you said?
So we're a 1F40 zone, not that that's precedent at all. But it's just similar situation. We're in a 1F40 zone where we're required to have 40,000 square feet. We've got 33,622. Legal when it was built. One thing that's a little bit different than the previous is that we're not surrounded by lots of small lots. We're actually surrounded by kind of the opposite. We've got some very, very large parcels that surround us with houses that are quite a distance from this property. So we're not tightly fit in. So this is kind of the only small property in this band coming across here. If you get over to this side, you're into the Legend Hollow. You've got lots that same or smaller than that. You've also got smaller lots over in here that are also subject to the same issue. But one of the things I think, particularly if we submitted these, if you look at it, you realize the distance from the houses, the neighboring to the pool, it's hundreds of feet. It's something that's
You can see that from the pictures.
yeah. So it's just and the landscaping around the property is one of the features of the property. It's really quite good.
Existing, and presently existing is less than allowable, right? What you have there?
By
Couple feet.
4 feet. Yeah, I think 4 feet, something like that. So
7 feet, but that's okay.
7 feet, yeah.
So you're 18% over the allowable.
We're 18.5% over.
Allowable and existing, as you think about it, it's the same, just about, right?
So it's, we're going from 12% to 14.2%, which is the 18.5.
When I was there, the homeowner pointed out a gravel
Yes.
area around the tree.
Yes.
He said that you told him
I've been
that.
waiting for the zoning board to stand up with that position that took years ago on paving walls and buildings and saying things like gravel around a tree is not site coverage. And when I mentioned this at a meeting with Ed, I said, we shouldn't have to cap this. He said, well, it's construction. It's a material that's been installed on the site. And I said, well, the same would be called for wood chips. And he goes, well, maybe we should start calling wood chips, site coverage. And I said, then you're getting into a very strange place. You can't use wood chips. So, yeah, I agree. I mean, we've got but counted, and we've since reduced that because we presented that to the planning board, and they were happy with that.
So wait,
So say that for me again.
so your numbers do not include the gravel?
The numbers do not include the gravel area as they currently exist.
And if they did,
It would be,
how many square feet of gravel is there?
probably close to 15 by 12, something like that, so maybe 300 square feet.
I think it says 331.55.
Okay, I'll put my memory, you got it in front of you.
But you drafted these, I didn't.
Well, somebody in my office. did,
Okay,
so-
okay.
so it's-
But you
yeah.
stamped them, I presume, no? Not somebody else did, okay, whatever. We're done.
Just a guy who gets
We're done.
to talk,
So that might throw it up a couple of points.
Well, except I think everyone's agreed that, here's what we said at the planning board. We said, look, if you want us to, we'll remove the gravel. The gravel's not attached to anything. We could just rake it up and maybe use it back into the pool. They all agreed it was a much better idea to have the gravel under the tree because nothing else would grow under the tree, and this was a way to keep it from being muddy.
I mean,
So,
has the gravel been under the tree?
the gravel has been under the tree, before, probably when the property was landscaped.
Right. They've only been there for a couple of years, as I understand.
Right, they have, so we don't know from, how early that was done. But my argument would be that gravel.
You mean your presentation?
My present, well, I'm.
You're arguing here, right?
I'm sorry, I'm getting to a court of law, it's an argument that gravel is not site garbage.
Well, I see, in this case, as compared to the last one, the pool's pretty far away from the house. Why did you place it there?
Actually, if you look, I don't know if it'll show up on, this. What? It's hard to see. If you go to the site, where the pool is exactly where the pool should be. It's where there are no other bushes and trees. We have two small trees, and when I say small, they're like 2-inch, 3-inch caliper, that we originally were gonna move them, we were go by the tree guy. It was better for us to just take them out and get something else if we wanted something else for screening. But it's the one area in the yard that we don't have to affect any other landscaping. And the thing that they liked, when we were out at the site with the guys from the tree company, with the neighbors were originally very concerned because of large trees. What we did is we actually established is better than drip line. Drip line would be about another third in to the trees. We've come out further so that we're really avoiding disturbing the roots of the trees. So we've positioned this so we're away from all these large trees that are around the perimeter. Gets it out there. If we move this closer to the house, we'd have to remove a very large section of really good shrubbery. So it wouldn't make sense. This is the perfect spot, and you can't see it from anybody once we plug that little pointer.
So in your discussions with Mr. Marin, looking at the definition of building, it talks about any combination of materials forming any construction. That's what he was referring to.
Right.
Yet, when it says driveways, parking spaces, patios, walkways, and other paved areas, which would have a different significance. I understand that discussion. So, but you've excluded the,
We've excluded the gravel. We've
Right.
put ourselves on record that if they decided that they didn't want us to have the gravel, we'll take it out. But it's not attached. When Ed said that, I said, that sounds like if I added some concrete with the gravel. Then I'd have a construction, just gravel.
you have a paved area also, right?
Yeah. So I don't think this is, and
I don't know, we have to answer that question right now.
No, he's not including it.
I know that, but
You're wondering whether we should include it or not.
if you included it, I guess it would raise it up to maybe 19 or 20% over.
Yeah.
As opposed to being.
Yeah.
And again, if we said to him, remove the gravel, I guess he would do that, but I personally don't think there's a need for it, but that's.
Yeah.
I
I think,
agree with you about that, but Patty, when you come here again, if this comes up again, I would suggest you include the gravel in the calculation and
okay,
then say we should take it out. But what you're doing here is saying, there's a rule I don't like, so I'm gonna ignore the rule.
I'm actually not, that wasn't my intent, if that's how.
But that was,
how it
that's the
was.
effect.
Yeah, we actually did exactly what you said, all the way up until, in fact, this meeting, this submission.
No,
We
I'm talking
showed
about
that-
this meeting.
This is the meeting that counts, I understand. And we will do that in the future that way. I agree with you. That way we can say we don't think this should be included because of the reasoning, but you at least know what the implications of
Or
it.
here are the two numbers.
Yep.
Right, and we can make a determination whether we want you to remove it or not, or
Right.
give some other conditions. Okay. And I guess somebody else here wants to talk about this. Anybody want to have?
Nothing.
Just to make sure I'm following, so when the existing 4,027 square feet is without the gravel,
Right,
and 4,779, again, without the gravel, but with the
correct,
pool.
right. And we eliminated a whole terrace. We made fairly sizable concessions to bring this within acceptance to the planning board. And I know they take this very seriously.
Well, actually, in your defense, I have to do this. It says pretty clearly in the note, the 400 square feet of gravel under the tree's been removed from the cover, so.
I understand
Right,
that.
but-
I said he acknowledged it
Right,
here.
right,
Yeah. I'm not good at sneaking around.
no. Till you get caught.
You can see me coming pretty easy.
Okay. Any other comments from anybody? I'm sorry.
So there is no patio, stone, anything around the pool?
No,
Just grass?
just grass. Which actually, with the kind of use that he's talking of it, I don't think that's a problem. If he had a bunch of younger kids and the idea was having pool parties, you're gonna get mud around your pool. He's looking at this as an oasis. This is a place of quiet solitude that he can go up, his family can go up and have quiet enjoyment. I don't get them having, of course, I don't know how old his daughter is. I know she's a teenager, but maybe she's well behaved.
You can always move the gravel from the tree to the pool.
Well, doesn't it say here, in-ground pool with 1 foot copings around?
Yeah,
Okay, so that's all you're
right.
talking about.
That's actually the construction of the pool.
Okay. Okay.
And that's all included in our square footage.
And no extra cost.
I feel like 30 years from now, somebody would be trying to legalize the patio around that wall.
Hopefully we won't see here.
Hopefully not.
But the record will survive.
We'll survive, yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the application. Stimling? Yes, yes. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you. And your card,
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Milani with Annunziata Milani Design Consultants, representing Stephen and Michelle Turner, 26 Maple Street. We are on an existing 7,435 square foot lot in the 1F-5 zone, which is 5,000 square foot allowable. My clients purchased this property with an existing deck. We were proposing just a set of stairs that would allow them to go from this existing deck to the yard. But Ed Merritt made it known to me that the deck that was on the property card was only roughly 12.67 square feet by 19.92 feet, where in actuality it's 19.8 feet by 19.92 feet. We went to the planning board.
This is a huge deck. It's
It
huge.
is. It was an existing deck that we purchased, that came with the house, so it wasn't that he was proposing to increase it. I don't even, they had a CLO on it, so I don't know why, on the property card it had a smaller deck.
How many things happen?
I know it's the tendency of the municipalities nowadays with the open, there's so many, in every municipality, when they open up these files, it's at least a lot of work for me, but.
Right.
So in essence, we went to the planning board, we got a final resolution, answered all the engineer's questions, and boiled it down to where we needed 2 variances. It was already a pre-existing non-conformity as far as coverage and setback, but the purchased house that he built was an increased non-conformity. So the coverage was a little bit more, and the deck was a little more towards the rear yard. The steps that we're proposing on the deck do not increase any non-conformity as far as setback, but it does contribute to the coverage. It did give us a positive resolution.
I'm sorry, say that again, because,
So the proposed staircase that they're,
oh, the staircase,
the
yeah.
staircase does not increase the non-conformity. It's the existing deck that they
Right,
purchased with the
right, I
house.
understand, I thought you were talking about the deck.
So the house was just purchased.
House purchased, how long ago?
In the summer in July.
Summer, Joe.
And when was the big deck put on? Do we know?
Oh, his property card was from the, I believe, the 50s,
So the
60s?
property card shows a deck that's also non-conforming.
That's
Goes to the setback.
Yeah, that's, I represented this one on the drawings as the property card deck.
Correct.
So this was
Correct.
the, this is the previously filed deck. It doesn't even have drawings on the property card size on
The
it.
measurements are accurate. I presume.
Yes, these measurements are accurate to the property card. But this is the deck that we bought with the
I mean,
house.
I was out there,
Yeah.
and you could tell troubled by this bunch of stuff for a lot of different reasons. At least I'm troubled by it.
I'm sorry,
I said, I'm troubled by the size of this deck. Yeah, it's huge. And,
particularly, I'm sorry to interrupt,
No, go ahead.
to your point, particularly, there, a lot of those houses on either side have decks that are small.
this, first of all, it intrudes so much into the setback, right? It's not just a matter of a few feet, but I guess it's gotta be 8 feet.
No,
No, more.
so here's
Is it 12
the,
feet into the setback?
here's the scenario. The setback is 30.
Right.
Just in essence, the lot is 1.5 times, it's 75, almost 7,500 square feet, so it's a larger property than the properties that are adjacent,
Well,
neighborhood.
then it's wider in a way, right?
It's wider and larger.
It's not deeper though, is it?
Not,
No.
I'd have to, no, it's not deeper, but larger in the essence that all the properties around it are 5,000 square feet. The previously recorded deck was 22.53 feet away from the property line. The deck that they purchased, when they purchased the house, is 15.4 feet.
All right, so you're 14.6 into the, 14.6.
Correct.
Right, into the, and the problem is, I was able to step on the deck. Went on Saturday and the construction guys let me in. And, whatever, well, I said, once I don't take his tools, I'll be okay, so electrician was there. So, but standing on that deck, you look to the right, you look to the left, there's no other home that extends that far out. I mean, you really are out beyond every other home.
That
up
was
and down.
my
That's
point.
John Point, the John was making.
Doesn't the house,
That's right, that's absolutely right.
in essence, the house.
Please don't argue that point, that's absolutely right.
No, I understand that, but, no, believe me, I've
So
been
it's
there a lot of times.
so out of character.
So the house protrudes that far too, it's beyond any other house that's represented next door.
So I couldn't get in the house, but I went in the backyard,
Mhm.
and that deck is just further out into the backyard than, and it takes up most of the backyard. It just seems to me, again, and I'm not, I understand that these are non-conforming lots, but that deck is too big.
In fact, most of the non-conforming lots we've dealt with through the years, I've been here for a long time, normally you don't have an invasion of the setback, the rear setback. Usually that's not the problem. Usually the side yard setbacks, if they're really on top of one another, whatever it is. Because, and there was an attempt one time in the village to actually amend the zoning here to reduce the setbacks, and a lot of people objected to that, because really that establishes a little bit of privacy in the back. Now you're 30 and 30, so you're 60 feet apart from the other home. And this backs onto Buckout Street, right? So there's somebody down, and actually you're higher than Buckout, I believe, right? So you're actually looking down at it.
Yeah, it's actually in the Preservation Overlay District, but they agreed that there's no obstruction as far as views and all that.
Right. But it's the intrusion, right? It's the intrusion. It's on top of the neighbors below you. It sets a horrible precedent for up and down the street. Because, and again, it's not the size of the deck in and of itself, but the fact that it's so much into the setback, which is really troubling to me. And again, I just speak for myself. And again, remember now, there's a 3-to-1, and you can always put it over.
Yeah.
And I mean that sincerely. And so what work are you intending, is some work you guys are doing?
This initiated with the fact that they're doing interior work.
Well, I forgot it. No, but I thought I read something, they resurface this deck or do
Yes.
something or other?
Oh,
Yes, our plan would be to resurface the deck,
Replace some joists, I understand, or double up some joists underneath?
to increase, right now it's 2x6s, we'd like to
Increasing the 12 inches.
to increase them to 2x12s.
If we have 100 people up there, to Henson and Sydney, you want to make sure it's safe. I mean, it's really,
No, it's just, you know what it is, it's not even that, it's the height above grade that wants me to reinforce it, meaning that this post, so you want to reinforce it because of the racking, not because of the stability, vertical stability, but the racking because it's high.
Right.
So it's just 2x6s are just not adequate.
and do we know what year it was expanded? We don't know.
Based on looking at the structure, I mean, I do believe it was a long time ago,
Yeah.
but I can't tell you.
I believe they probably filed for this deck, which is on the property card.
In the
and built a
50s
different deck.
probably, right?
Built a different deck at the time. Because the structure looks like it's,
That old.
yeah.
Well, something built in the 50s, yeah, it's a long time now, it's like 60,
Mhm.
almost 70 years old. It's a long time, I guess. Would you consider doing something, would you consider going back, listen, you can do whatever you want to do, right? You can adjust this thing, you can adjourn it, you can whatever you want to do, but is there any possibility of reducing the depth of the deck?
Can I look at how, to see how?
This is your deck present existing.
Yep.
You know, even at 13 feet, you still have 20, no one's discussing the width, right, which is 20 foot, which is still a pretty wide deck. It's 20 feet, it's like a 2-story building, I guess. And even at 13 feet, which is the existing property project, that's a good sized deck.
I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be bothered if I take as much if it was extended further along the back of that, but
As far as
yeah.
And even the stairs, I'm trouble, I mean, trouble.
It's just
there's no
this,
trouble.
it's just this right
It's
here.
the-
Yes.
It's the protrusion to the rear setback.
It's just,
That's what really
Bothers
stands
all
out
of
to
us.
me, looking at the other house, particularly the other decks there.
No, I understand.
They're almost in a line.
I'll be honest with you, I've been doing this for a long time. It's the first time we're in pre-existing condition. They're asking me to change a pre-existing condition, and alter it.
done everything?
No, actually, no, it's just, so there goes your answer, because I've done it all over Westchester, but, I got you. Understood. So the question is, because bringing it, even if we bring it back to the original, it's still not conforming, is there somewhere in between?
We're not here to horse trade, it doesn't work that way. The way it could work is that you could adjourn it, you could come back with a different presentation that you think might work with the board. There might be more people there, obviously, next month as well. And, we're just, giving you an opinion, right?
Very strong one, yeah.
Well, just on the 19-foot, the 19.8 foot, right, which is almost 20 feet deep is, again, they didn't even get the opportunity to go on top. I was on top. Big. And it's intrusive, let me say that again. As Evan has suggested, if it wrapped around but hugged it, wasn't so into the setback, you'd be less concerned about that. I don't think, again, speaking for myself, I'm not concerned about the steps coming down the side, because I think you're within the setback, right? You're fine
Yeah,
with that.
it's not increasing it.
The coverage is the coverage, it is what it is. But, somebody, we are trouble to begin with when somebody, and I'm not saying you, because it was before you.
Yes.
Does something without a permit, right? So obviously you did it without a permit, which means that there's no building department inspecting this whole thing. It's dangerous, the height of this whole thing. I mean, I don't know whether this is a dangerous thing.
Well, my presumption is when this client purchases a house and they get a C of O with that house that they purchased, that everything that's documented is legal on the property, because that's.
Usually the banks, if there's financing involved,
Titles.
they go out, they
everybody looks
inspect it,
at
they say there's a deck that doesn't
So when I
conform.
presented this drawing to the building department and went to Ed Marin, he's the one that we separated everything, because he looks and we brought up the property card, and I'm like, how is that possible? My client just purchased a house and they got CFO, and how does the property card represent one thing and it's, so.
It's not a good title search apparently,
Yeah.
right, or a reading of the survey.
Or somebody did something that,
Right.
Cool.
So we want to, well, again, we're not here to tell you what we would accept or not accept. I think you're going to get a signal as to what we don't like.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 4 of us tonight, and I don't think, whatever. If you want to adjourn it and maybe think about it and come back, I don't think you have to renotice it, but it's just one adjournment. Right?
You just have to, if you're gonna make some changes, you just have to submit those to us in time for the next.
No, that's not, I don't think that's an issue. I think the big issue is the question mark on, because anything, obviously you see a setback, right? It's rubbed up right against the house, so anything I present is going to be a non-conforming condition, so how do I?
Yeah, but every house down here is not.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
but the existing property card is for a
12.67 by 19.
12.67 foot deep deck, right? And we're at 19.8.
Right.
And I think we just would like to adjourn, because I appreciate the,
We're trying to work with you, but we also are concerned about
No,
the
this is my client,
community.
this is my client, so he has.
No, I
I'm
know.
trying to negotiate, he's.
But we're not here to negotiate,
Yeah,
I think
I
that's the
got you.
point,
I got you.
We're just here for you to pick up on what we're saying, so you can
Understood.
maybe rethink the application and come back, next month.
Okay,
All right?
all right.
So it's adjourned, you want to adjourn it?
Let me, I do absolutely want to adjourn it. I just have one question.
Sure.
The hoops that the adjustments to the drawings that I did for Han Engineering and the planning board, I'm hoping that if, just for one scenario, that if we reduce it back to the original property card, just say, is one scenario, is that something that I can do without having to go back to planning? Because it's going to change all my coverage numbers, it's going to change the variance, it's going to change,
Well, it won't be a variance, because that's us, right? And that'll be here, because we do the variances.
but he determines the variance, right? Han Engineering does? He determines the quantities.
Yeah, but,
Quantities.
I don't know exactly how that works, the mechanics of that, but I would think that what you're doing is you're reducing the impact, right? So I can't speak for the planning board.
Mhm.
I can't imagine anyone being troubled by,
Just coming back here.
I don't know what the planning board requires. And you know what, if you call Ed Marin in the morning, I think
I'll
he's
tell
best
you,
to
I
take
think
with
with you, I don't foresee that you would need to go back to the planning board if you reduce the size of your deck, even if you change the shape of it and reduce it at some level, I don't believe, but I can't.
So here's my only concern, right? They've documented, they've drafted a resolution. So those conditions might change according to what I'm doing. So I'll speak to Ed and then to the planning board department.
What other issues are there?
No, I'm saying that I believe that part of the, I have to read the conditions over, but part of that resolution is the coverage variance, meaning that their planning board resolutions are dictated by whether you give me a variance or not, right? So those numbers that are in there, 39.6 versus, and the rear yard setback, are documented by those pages. So if those pages are gonna change, do I have to go get another resolution from the planning board?
I don't know the answer to that.
So that was my question. I didn't know.
The problem is you couldn't see them before you saw us, right? You have to make the presentation to us. But also, would you want to submit your, whatever you come up with to them, right, before you come back to see us next month? I talked to Ed about this because he knows how it
Yeah,
works.
no, I'm just trying
But
to.
theoretically, they meet, I think they really meet before us, and if you resubmitted some amended documents which show whatever you want to show,
Mhm.
and they approve that, then you come see us,
And then maybe it could be handled just
maybe it
paperwork.
could, yes.
Paperwork?
I don't know. That's the problem.
All right.
Okay?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
So we have an adjournment, that's what you
Yes.
requested? Yes, good.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.